Don Global presents
the DG Recruit podcast on everything headhunting and recruitment. Achieve the life and career you envision. What's up, game changers? It's your host, Don, founder of Don Global, the headhunting and career coaching company helping you achieve the life and career you envision.
In today's podcast, we are going to cover my 7777 rule. Now, this is a hashtag that if you just do hashtag 7777 rule, you will see a number of posts, perhaps some articles that talk about it. But in today's podcast, due to receiving a request from a listener, I am happy to share with you where this concept came from, how I came up with it, and why it made such a difference in my recruitment career. So let's jump right into it. The 7777 rule is derived of 4 sevens. And the first 2 sevens means 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now, this is just because I wanted it to be 7777. But the reality is it could be any 12-hour window. So 8 to 8, 9 to 9. And usually I work more than the 12 hours because there's lunch, there's dinner. So I do include that in the 7 to 7. But really, it's committing to working a full work day, like totally immerse yourself into the work. And that means spend that time at work, recruiting on your recs, talking to clients, doing administrative stuff, whatever needs to happen. 7 to 7 is sort of like a minimum that you're going to do 7 days a week. So that's the third 7 is 7 days a week. Now, obviously, this is not sustainable. So it's 7 times a year. That's the last 7. So that's what the 7777 rule means. It doesn't mean that you have to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, every single day for the whole year. No, it means that you are going to put a lot of effort into ideally the first 1 or 2 months that you work in recruiting. And the whole point of this is that you're really diving into the work and getting committed to the work and prioritizing work sort of like as a lifestyle choice. So let's go through 5 different reasons of how this worked for me, how I came up with it, and sort of the concept a little further. So number 1 is it's sort of like a diet. You know how when you go on a diet, I don't know if you've ever been on a diet, but I grew up in that very unhealthy generation where everyone was binge dieting. So when you binge diet, it's actually really important for the first month. South Beach diet, for instance. That's what I did in college. I lost 10 pounds, which was like a lot because I wasn't even that overweight. But that 10 pounds really made a humongous difference in my physique. And how I lost it was that first 4 weeks, really committed to it 100%. Like I literally went cold turkey, did not eat any sort of white sugar, carbs, whatever, rice, pasta, potatoes, what have you, right? Really, really took it to heart and very much committed to the diet. So that's the same thing in recruiting. And obviously it's not to be unhealthy forever. And the South Beach diet isn't unhealthy per se, but if you take it to the extreme, like eat bacon all day, just like the guy did in Dr. Atkins, who literally died of heart disease, that could be really bad for you. So obviously you're not going to do it all the time, but you need to kickstart it for that first month or month and a half to really set the tone. So that's really the concept of where I came up with this idea of no, I'm going to hit it hard. I'm not going to just ease into recruiting. No, I want to go ham. I want to go all the way. Let's go 100%, 110% into recruiting. Make it my all. Really devote my time and effort to it. So another reason why this was so important to me was that I worked in a very competitive environment. And it was externally competitive, and I was internally competitive as well. That I needed to make more than my base salary, which was $35,000 at the time, which, as you and I both know, in New York City is laughable. Even in 2011 is laughable. And it was only then that people got away with it, that they were able to charge such a low rate for labor. But anyways, the point here is I had to be better than my competition. And if I did not invest this time in the beginning of my journey in recruiting, I'm just giving my competition more time to get better at the job. So in big agencies, there are very strict and obvious and transparent billing leagues. And I wanted to be top rookie. And that was my goal. I was like, I want to be the top. I want to be the best. I had no idea how I was going to get there. I have never been the best at anything, by the way. I've always been medium to decent. I've never been the best. So that was kind of like an abnormal desire. And, I want to refer you to Zig Ziglar's book, Born to Win, and See You at the Top. One of his core messages that I read before I started recruiting is that the success derives from desire. And my desire was to be successful. And so that desire was so deep that it pushed me to do everything I needed to do to align my desires with the outcome and also with the activities that needed to get done in order to reach that goal of success, right? So right away, my desire to be a top rookie meant that I had to work harder than my colleagues. And I accepted that, right? I was 23 years old, living in New York City. What did I do on weekends? Let me ask you, what could be more important than your financial, career, and professional success? Because bear in mind, in these competitions, in billing leagues, you only have 1 year or less, depending on when the fiscal year ends, to hit these targets in order to qualify to rank as top rookie, as top biller, right? You only have a limited amount of time. And I was starting my career in January, so it was actually 2 months behind since our fiscal year ends in November. So I was already 2 months behind. I did not have the luxury to say, let me take my weekends off in my first week at work. That was not my mindset. In fact, I loved the work so much, Monday through Friday, 7 to 7, so to speak. Obviously, at the time I was getting to work. At the time, I think our hours were 9 to 6 to start. Then they moved up to 8 to 5. Anyways, so I definitely worked till 10 p.m. Like I would go home late. I would eat lunch and dinner at work. And I would go home late every single day because here's what I did. There was training to be done. The training for juniors is self-guided. And I was so intent on maximizing my time at work that during the daytime where I had to call candidates and clients, that's all I did. I actually saved my training course, like the administrative elements of the job, to after work. Because after work is when I got all of that done. Because I'm like, it's not a priority. Like this is personal enrichment. It's not actually hitting the phones. Hitting the phones is what actually makes me money. So during the daytime, I'd hit the phones and work really hard to like exceed my phone times. But at night at work, I would be just doing the administrative stuff. Right? Like you're supposed to add a certain amount of managers every day. You're supposed to add a certain amount of KPIs. You're supposed to take the training. So I would do all of that after hours. And the weekends was where I would still call people. Because until you've tried calling candidates on the weekends, how can you say you tried calling candidates on the weekends? So on the weekends, I'd come into the office. This was well before remote work was the thing. You weren't even allowed to work remotely at the time. Hurricane Sandy kind of changed that a little bit. But anyways, so we all went into this sort of office environment to get the work done. So on weekends, I would have to schlep into work. And now I'm not saying on weekends you work from 7 to 7. There's no need because, again, in most of the weekdays, you're working an extra hour or two a day. So on the weekends, you come in for a couple hours. You don't have to do the whole day. You can do half a day. The point is you go to work for 7 days a week. You get into that habit of just committing yourself fully to work at least 7 times a year. You can spread it out, but what I really did the first couple of weeks at work, I worked 7 days a week. And then maybe some days I would work 6 days a week, just because I wanted to spend Sunday and just like walk around the city. Because again, what else are you going to do that is actually more important than success in your early 20s? And my answer was nothing. There really is no real goal other than visiting my parents in Boston. Other than that, it was like, what else am I going to do on my weekends? Am I going to just party? Like, no, that's not a priority. I want to succeed in this job and I want to be a top biller. And so coming in on weekends helps me get ahead. So that's really that advantage that you get when you put in the work more than your colleagues. Number 3 is that you will learn faster. This is what's going to happen because you're putting in more time and effort into your job. On Saturday and Sunday that you're working, you're calling up candidates, you're adding managers, you're doing so much more so that when you come back to work on Monday, you have a lot more information to work with, right? If you waste your time on Monday morning compiling canvassing lists, you're not wasting anyone's time except your own, because holy crap, I could have came in yesterday on Sunday and compiled a list of 400 people to call. Instead, I'm wasting all of Monday morning doing that task. Who are you cheating at the end of the day by not working? Yourself. And eventually, when I started meeting candidates, I would pitch the meetings on weekends. Because I'm like, I don't want to waste my Monday where I could call up clients to go all the way out to meet these candidates. I would ideally like to meet these candidates on weekends. That's where I did my post-placement lunches and dinners, and I would just book them. Saturday, Sunday, it would be like brunch, then it'd be coffee, then it'd be dinner. And I would just spend the whole day in Jersey or Philly or wherever meeting my candidates and clients. Right? Whether that was a weekday, whether that was a weekend, I would just have to go by people's schedules. But I made my calendar open because, again, where are my priorities? Who are the relationships that I'm trying to curate? Is it the random people that I met at work? No. Yes, that's part of it, but not on my weekends. On my weekends, it's like if I can meet a candidate that's going to put money in my pocket, I'm going to do that. Right? So the weekends are a really powerful time to meet up with your candidates and clients and drive an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours a day to get that done. In-person meetings are really important. And you learn faster. Again, because you're able to compile your canvassing lists over the weekend, you come into the office on Monday, you're calling people straight up. You get your 10,000 hours of practice on the phone a lot sooner than your other colleagues who simply are not putting in the time. So you're just going to learn much faster. And like I mentioned before, number 4, all the administrative work that you have to do, all of the superfluous stuff that isn't gung-ho sales, that's all done in the extra hours. Again, if you're wasting primetime calling hours to do that, then you're missing out on primetime calling hours. Instead, you want to do all the unsexy stuff after work. So adding managers, building out market lists, like do that after work, right? Program sendouts, write the sendouts at night. Sendouts are like MPC emails, most placeable candidate emails. Write it out at night and have it programmed to send in the morning or in the afternoon or whatever. The point is you have the technology today to make that happen in a way that you are in control of your time and you're able to do a lot more with your time. Lastly, you are practicing this delayed gratification, this sacrifice muscle. You know, I will tell you a story that my mom used to always share with me, and being Chinese, we were always told to sacrifice. I mean, Jesus, if there was like a moral code of ethics that the Chinese people focus on, it is the element of sacrifice, taking people's shit. You take your parents' shit, you take your teacher's shit, you take everybody's shit. The Chinese love sacrificing. It's all about sacrificing today's suffering for tomorrow's glory. That is like a cultural element. So as a very young girl, my mom would tell me this story about this Chinese scholar who ended up becoming very successful. And this guy was the ultimate goody two-shoes. When I was little, I hated him. I was like, what a freaking loser. Because every day this dude would be so perfect. All his friends are outside playing. And this little guy is staying indoors being like, Mom, I just want to be successful. I'm going to stay home and study. And then obviously he studies and passes the emperor's test and becomes a very powerful scholar. Because back in the day, you know, Confucianism, that whole thing. So I was like, damn, like that's a concept, right? The concept of, wow, everybody is outside playing. And here you go. There's this one guy that's staying indoors. He's kind of a boring guy, but he gets ahead. You see, he gets ahead. So that's the whole concept, is sacrifice. While everyone else is just enjoying life and doing whatever they want, brunching, lunching, partying with their friends, you are actually making a tangible difference in your own life. And that is a sacrifice that I decided to engage in more often than not. Not because I didn't hang out with my colleagues, not because I didn't go out and get drunk, not because I didn't go out and party. It's that I did, but to a much less degree. The majority of my time was actually spent working and thinking about work and putting effort into work, prioritizing work and success. Because my goal and my dream was to become a millionaire by 30. And the goal is so time bound that I don't have a lot of time to waste. I don't want to waste all of my 20s just duking it out, having fun, living like a normal person. I wanted to be abnormal so that I could achieve an abnormal result. I wanted better than average results. And so to do that, you can't be average. You can't do what the average person is doing. And so every time someone else was like, oh, I really want to do something, I almost started having this like weird kink where I literally would be like giddy and happy to say no. Because I'm like, no, actually this weekend, I'm working on looking at the real estate market and studying tax law, right? Eventually it migrated to that. In like my third year of recruiting, I started looking into real estate investing. So very much as time went on, the more I started being selective of how I spent my time and who I spent it with. Because in the beginning of my recruiting career, I did spend a lot of time out in the bars to socialize, is really because I wanted to be politically well liked at work. It was very strategic. It wasn't like because I liked drinking or because I liked to party. It was very much mission oriented. It was like, I need to be popular at work so that I can get ahead and insulate myself as best as I can so that I'm well liked and I can get, succeed at work and be okay politically, right? But as time went on, it was like, I've done that. It's not really that important to me. I'm going to now spend my weekends even more investing in myself, learning about real estate, reading books, really prioritizing that again, which is why I have very small friend groups. I don't hang out with a crew 20 people deep, nor would I even want that. That sounds like a freaking awful waste of time to me. And again, this is what my parents taught me. My mom taught me, look, if you want to be successful, you're not going to spend all your time with your hupungoyo, which is like your trashy friends. She's like, you're not going to spend all this time with your trashy friends, okay? Like, if you want to be successful, you got to make some sacrifices. And that means you're not going to hang out with all your trashy friends. So that is what my mom told me, and I listened to her. And she has a lot of good advice. Some of her advice is a little bit off, but that is true. If you waste your time with all your friends every single minute of the day and you have social events packed to the hilt, which I know some people do, and when I hang out with them, I'm exhausted. As much as I'm an extrovert, I'm exhausted. I cannot imagine the amount of socializing a lot of people do. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I could be using that time to read a book, to relax, to like watch a movie, to stay home. Like, I'm just not that social, I guess, because our job is so social. I don't want to spend any more time socializing. I want to stay home. I want to relax. I want to like do other shit. I want to write my book. I want to play piano. I want to go to the gym. Like, I have a lot of things I want to do outside of socializing with people. And socializing is my job. So I'd rather spend my time socializing at my job and work-related things than personal socializing, right? Like, I do hang out with my friends, but it's not a priority. Like, I don't hang out with them every single week religiously and I have to make time for everyone. No, my time is very limited, right? So again, it's this 7777 rule of really organizing your life around your success. When I was just starting out, I had to really put in the grind. Like, that is something that is unavoidable. And when you're starting off, you really have to exert abnormal amounts of energy. And once you are successful, things get a lot easier because you have another level of success to work with. You have more options. You have the financial stability of what you achieved. But where are you going to, go if you don't have that, right? So a lot of people don't get step 1 done before they move on to step 2. So they're already living with I'm half retired mindset when they haven't even done the first part, which is work your ass off. So it's like, don't reverse that trend. a lot of people want to reverse it. They want to live this perfect life where they have amazing work-life balance, where they have amazing amounts of money, but they didn't do the foundational work to create that cushion for themselves. So then what happens is you're either reliant upon family help or spousal support or sharing stuff with a partner. And there's lots of stories about that, where it's like, oh, Joe Schmo had to save money, had to move in with this other person that they don't even like. It's just like, do that shit when you're young, right? Suffer all that you can when you're young so that you can enjoy the success and the fruits of your labor later. You know, that's what you're really working for. You're working for your future. You're working for your future self. You're not actually screwing yourself over in the short term. You're helping yourself for the future. That's what sacrifice is all about, is you're not actually screwing over yourself currently. You are building that beautiful foundation for yourself for the future. So I hope the 7777 rule is exciting to you, is something that you're willing to undertake just to see what it's like to upskill faster and to get into the habit of prioritizing success, at least for the short term. And once you reach that success, take a vacation. Once you did 4 deals and you built $250,000 in a month, go and take a vacation. You can take lots of vacations. Shoot, on that payout, you can take lots of vacations. So again, just short amount of sacrifice for inordinate amount of gain that will then buy you future financial stability, success, happiness, and just the knowledge that you gained from achieving the result at such a level. This is very good for you, right? So the short-term, quote-unquote, L that you think you're taking isn't so much an L as it is an actual must-do sacrifice on the front end so that you can reap in the benefits of your hard work and success a little bit later. I hope this motivates you to put in that grind a little extra hard, because trust me, you're going to need it. This is not a fantastic year. 2023 across the board is not a fantastic year for people. Maybe that'll change at the end of this year. Maybe Q4 will be so popping, but that's not the case right now. The market is still very tentative, still a little bit shaky, and you have to dig very hard to grind out recs and amazing candidates right now. So put that nose to the grind. This is the time. 7777 rule is here to help you manage yourself and rededicate yourself to focus on work. You can't afford to be distracted right this moment. Focus, focus, focus. And by December, you will be laughing all the way to Christmas, holidays, New Year. You are going to be laughing all the way to the bank. At the end of the year, you're going to buy yourself a nice little treat yourself gift. You're going to feel really good headed into 2024. The grind starts today.